So that's a very high in demand profession in Canada, and it pays really well as well because it's again, it's a skilled trade and it's an acquired trade, and there is shortage of people who have those kind of skills.
So, Jaspreet, it's great to have you on the show, and thank you for taking out your time for this.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So, if you can tell us a little bit more about yourself, about when did you move to Canada?
Yeah, so Nikhil, I head the data and analytics team here at a startup called Pluto Wing. And my main focus is in terms of, enabling my company with data-driven decisions. And I came to Canada actually this year in Feb 2020. So before this, I was in US and I worked there for almost 4 to 5 years. And prior to US, I was in India, and I had worked there almost for 8 to 9 years.
Now, the hot topic which a lot of people want to know is what are the various jobs which are high in demand in Canada?
Right. So Canada is essentially, I would say employer-driven kind of a country wherein, if you are able to either produce jobs or if you can kind of, open a company, something of that sort. So it really helps. So in terms of that, for example, like back home in India and even in other countries, for example, I've worked in kind of, Europe as well, UK as well, and I worked in US as well. So most of the time, the in-demand jobs are especially for Indians, it's related to technology. And that's also the case in Canada. But then again, there is a vast kind of other jobs available as well for skilled jobs, especially people who are really good with their skills with respect to, for example, somebody is good in carpentry, somebody is good in some other things as well, other skilled trades as well. So those are the jobs which are always in demand, and which pay really high as well as compared to traditional jobs as well with respect to IT and other like analyst, somebody working in analytics, somebody working in finance, somebody working in marketing, sales. So those are all the traditional jobs which we have. But then when we talk about Canada, it's about other skilled jobs as well, skilled trades as well, which pay really well. And again, it's a licensed profession here. So you have to go through a proper education, then you have to go through a proper certification, and after that, then when you start working, it starts on par with other kind of professions. But then again, if you consistently work on it, it's actually going to pay you more compared to the traditional professions which we have in IT. And in terms of again, for example, somebody is a physiotherapist, somebody is a doctor, somebody is a registered nurse. So those kind of professions, somebody is a plumber. So that's a very high in demand profession in Canada, and it pays really well as well because it's again, it's a skilled trade and it's an acquired trade, and there is shortage of people who have those kind of skills. So that's why if you see, those are high demand jobs as well, but then they pay high as well.
Now, coming to the salary, what is the average salary someone gets either as a fresh graduate or you can say someone who has a couple of years of experience and comes to Canada in either express entry or a PNP program?
Right. Okay. So I'll divide it into two parts. Firstly, somebody who has studied in Canada and then, went into the workforce, and somebody who already studied somewhere else, say in India, in US, and then came to Canada via express entry and PNP. So in terms of the first category, the person who has studied in Canada, so when they come into the workforce, if you see even the minimum wage, it's around $11 to $12 a person can start with. That again depends, if what kind of job you're looking into and what kind of job you're working into. And also it depends on what kind of, education you have had. And for example, if somebody has just done an engineering and he comes into the workforce and starts working, so the average salary is roughly around $30,000. And then if somebody has done, for example, MBA, and then again, there is a wide range depending upon, what the particular person has done before doing his MBA as well. So then again, if I see in a nutshell, that average in Canada falls somewhere around between $45,000 to $50,000. And then when it comes to people who have had experience and who had studied outside of Canada and have relevant experience, And then when they come to Canada, it again depends, which part of the world they're coming from, and what kind of strategy they had made with respect to their job search while coming into Canada. And what I mean by that is, for example, if somebody has a 10 years of experience in analytics in India and somebody has 10 years of experience in analytics in US, the job search strategy is going to enable you in terms of coming into Canada and going after jobs, and at what level of jobs and what kind of salary you get. So it all depends on the kind of the strategy which the particular person makes. So like I have seen people who have come from India, say for example somebody was a senior manager there in analytics and who came to Canada. He had a really good strategy with respect to okay, what kind of a resume works in Canada, how kind of networking is done in Canada, what kind of specific jobs I should be looking for, and how in terms of I should reach out to people with respect to those job opportunities, network more, get to know more people, learn more about the culture of Canada, and how to kind of converse, interact with people in Canada. So if somebody has that kind of a strategy, definitely if somebody came as a senior manager from India, they definitely would get a higher position or even equivalent position as well. But then again, I've seen people, who again, same, use case that they were a senior manager in India in analytics, but then they didn't do their kind of research, came to Canada and they just directly jumped into the job market, and then they're working as a data analyst somewhere. And it's like, their career takes a really big hit because they weren't prepared for, what's going to come for them when they arrive in Canada and how they should approach everything with respect to Canada. So in that sense, then it depends. Like, if in that scenario, again, it starts from $40,000, it goes up till $120,000, $130,000 as well. If somebody is working with, for example, top 5 or working with really good startups and all, so especially positions above manager and all, they do pay more than $80,000 as well.
Now, once you are in Canada, how would you suggest that one should start looking for jobs?
Right. So I think the process starts before even entering Canada. So once a person knows, okay, he's going to come to Canada, somebody has a PR, so they should start working at least 2 months before they're going to land in Canada, because it on an average it easily takes around 4 months to actually get a job in Canada because of the process. It's really a slow process with respect to recruitment. And right, it's really advantageous for the person who is coming to Canada because everything is online. So all interviews are happening online. So that was, the problem which the candidates had previously, that, okay, they can do 1 or 2 interviews, but then later on, somebody would call them in person. So, but now everything being online, all the interviews are held online. So it starts, at least 1.5 to 2 months before you are going to land in Canada. You need to work on your resume. First of all, you need to understand that Canada job market, especially North American job market, has a different kind of a resume. The interview style is totally different in terms of, that person should know that what kind of techniques work. For example, like there is a technique called STAR technique, which kind of, employers use a lot in Canada to understand that particular candidate. And there is a reason to that kind of methodology, because they just know that candidate for 5 to 10 minutes, and they cannot know what that candidate has done in the last 10 to 12 years, say, for example. But then in terms of, if they ask those kind of situational questions, that how does a particular candidate has behaved in a particular situation in the past, they get a peek into the candidate. Okay, what kind of a candidate that is. So those are the things, which really needs to be taken care of. First of all, resume. You need to find out, okay, what kind of a resume you want to make. And then you need to keep on tailoring your resume with respect to the job description as well. So you can't have just, one main resume and you're applying to all kind of jobs, using that particular resume. So you need to tailor your resume. Then you need to have a really good cover letter as well, because it really helps you to differentiate yourselves from other candidates. Because in Canada, it's like for one position, it's almost around 200 and 250 people fighting for that particular position. So you need to do whatever you can to differentiate yourself from those people. And then simultaneously, in terms of networking as well, if somebody doesn't have his or her profile on LinkedIn, they should create a profile, start reaching out to people, not only on job per se, but in terms of networking. If they want to get into some kind of a field, say like I'm in analytics, and somebody wants to get into analytics and is looking for a job in analytics, even though you don't see that my company has a position for analytics, you can still reach out to me in terms of just have an informal kind of a chat with respect to how is the Canadian market, how we should approach the entire job market in terms of where we should be applying, what kind of strategies work, because that's how you start networking. You reach out to people, you start making connections, and that way, if something like, if I spoke with you, Nikhil, and you came out really bright, in terms of, okay, you have really good experience in data science and analytics, and something comes up on my team, I'll definitely have you top of my mind that yes, I spoke to Nikhil and he might be a good fit. So I'll reach out to you. So that's how, small things help a lot. And then also in terms of websites and all, you should have your profiles created on LinkedIn. You should have your profile created on Indeed. And then Canada again has a really good, vibrant startup culture. So there are separate websites for startup jobs as well, like AngelList. That's one. Then there is Prospect.fyi. So that's another one which candidates can easily use and apply for jobs which are not even their own. LinkedIn and Indeed.
Understood. And since you mentioned about resume, is there a particular format that the resume needs to be kept when you're focusing for jobs in Canada?
Yeah, we do follow a very simplified version of resume in North America. Like as a thumb rule, it's like, if somebody has 10 years of experience, then his resume should be a one pager. And more than 10 years, 20 years, then it's like a two-pager resume. It's not a hard and fast rule, but then definitely if you can't compress your work experience in 2 pages, it's really tough. Because that's your selling point resume. And that's what you need to do. You need to work a lot on your resume with respect to also the points also, which you're mentioning against every job as well. Like some people mention a lot of statements that, okay, I was responsible for this and this, which doesn't make sense for that's not a selling point. That I understand that everybody is responsible for a lot of things, but it would help me more if you put in, okay, I did this, because of that we were able to realize this much cost, this much savings. That actually tells me, okay, you worked on something really important, and this is how you benefited the company's top line or bottom line. So that's what's there. And in terms of the Canadian style resume, if anybody can go on Google and get that kind of a resume online as well.
Understood. So for every point, you should have like an impact. What impact did you create for that particular role or for that particular responsibility?
Exactly, because that's going to make you stand out. Say, for example, somebody writing a complete paragraph against a position he has worked for, and somebody just writing 2 lines, but in those 2 lines, I can see that impact, what that person has done in that particular position for that particular company. That resume would be rated higher as compared to the previous one, which only has a paragraph and they have just written some verbiage in the resume.
Now, you had previously mentioned that someone should start working at least 2 months prior to coming to Canada if they want to look for a job. So, in your opinion, do you think someone can get a job in Canada from India? Or do you think that they should just structure and use the time to network with people, align which companies that they want to apply, and then once they are in Canada, then they should apply for these companies?
Yeah, a person can definitely get a job from India as well. So it's actually really easy to get a job from India right now. But then again, a person needs to figure out the logistics as well. If somebody gets selected, how would they come to Canada at that time? But then again, coming back to the question, yes, the person should be using both the strategies. That they should be networking a lot, because you don't know, where it's going to stick. So I know people who were in India, they got a job, and then they moved to Canada. And there are some people who were networking, before coming to Canada, and as soon as they landed within a week or two, because they were in that advanced situations with respect to that interview levels with different companies, they were able to land a job in 1 to 2 months, in 1 to 2 weeks. And then there are third kind of people, who are like, okay, let's go to Canada first, start the entire process there. So it's like you already wasted 2 to 3 months because you have to do all those things which you could have done in India, and then be at an advanced stage in your interview levels for with different companies, and then sometimes it takes even 6 to 8 months to get a job in Canada because they weren't prepared. They didn't do all the right things before they came in, and even after coming, then they're like, because they have arrived here, so then the pressure starts building up that, okay, now you don't earn anything, you have to spend a lot of money because now you're going to spend in dollars, and then it's a scrambling situation for a particular person, and the stress which comes along with it in terms of, okay, you need to get a job really fast. And that's where the person makes a really bad move in terms of, somebody being a senior manager in India, and he gets a data analyst position, and they're like, okay, let me just take it.
Now, talking about salary itself, what do you think is a decent salary amount someone should expect when they are living in cities such as Toronto or Vancouver? Because these cities are quite expensive.
Right, like Toronto and Vancouver, they are one of the costliest cities in Canada. And when it comes down to salaries, so again, like I mentioned, the average salaries is around $45,000. But then again, depending on experience, if somebody gets a salary in excess of $75,000, that's actually good enough to start, your career, and you don't have to worry about the expenses that much. Because if you even start, kind of seeing the expenses, the housing cost is going to take a very big chunk of a person's salary. So, like an average one-bedroom condo on rent, it would easily go for $1,800, $1,900 per month. So, in that situation, if you kind of, back calculate with respect to that what salary you should be getting, so that you would be comfortable living month over month, and not only kind of, spending, but also you are saving some chunk of money each month, I would say around $75,000 is a good average to have to start with.
Understood. And since you mentioned about the rent, what do you think is the average cost of living in these cities?
Right. Again, first of all, it comes down to the person as well. Spending habits of the person. Like if somebody likes to eat out a lot, their expenses are going to be really high. And somebody likes to shop a lot, their expenses are going to be really high. So it really depends. But then on an average, so if we take like $1,800 is the average cost for rent for a one-bedroom condo, and then if we see with respect to other things, in terms of groceries, and somebody gets a car also, somebody gets car insurance. Like car insurance is a ripoff if somebody comes, if somebody is really new. So even I was in shock, when I came from US, that my car insurance, the amount which I started to pay, it was equivalent to what I was paying in US, both for my car plus insurance.
Wow.
And here I'm only paying it
For
for
insurance.
insurance. So that's one thing. If somebody just who came in, he takes a car insurance, it's going to really add up. But I think overall it would come down to around $2,700
Understood.
cost of living in a month, and that's excluding the car and insurance as well.
Now, once you start working in Canada, what is the ideal time? Because everyone looks for a passport at the end. So, what is the ideal time that one can become a Canadian citizen and have that Canadian passport?
Right. So that's a very it depends on the government as well, because the laws also keep on changing. Before I came in, so the people who landed before me, so at that time it used to be 4 years. And now when I came in, they reduced it to 3 years. So I think it comes down to 1073 days or 1070 days. So it's exactly 3 years. After 3 years, you have been in Canada. That those many days, if you have spent in Canada, then you're eligible to apply for the citizenship. And once you go through that entire citizenship ceremony, after that you get the passport as well, of course.
So this duration which you mentioned, is it that you have to work in Canada for that period or you have to be in Canada for that period?
So there are two things. If you're working in Canada, then definitely you have to spend 3 years, complete 3 years. And then that doesn't mean that it has to be consecutive. That okay, I'm in Canada for consistent 3 years, and then no, you can be in Canada for 5 years, but then you can keep on traveling as well. So for example, in 5 years you were out 2 years, but then 3 years you were in Canada, if you count all the number of days you spent in Canada. So that's those are the number of days, which really matter. Yeah, so the second point would be that if somebody is not working in Canada, but if somebody is working out of Canada, say for example, somebody is working for a Canadian company in US, so even those days are counted, but that's counted on a 50% percentage basis. So if somebody worked 100 days in US for a Canadian company, so 50 days would still be counted for your citizenship.
Now, due to the current situation, would you recommend that people should be traveling to Canada if they get through the express entry draw? Because the job market is not that stable. So, would you recommend someone to travel right now?
I would say yes, because if the person is really prepared, I would say this is a really good time to come in and look for a job because the competition is it's not that much. Like I know it has been a mix. For example, certain industries aren't doing well, and there have been job losses there. But then if you see other industries, they have been doing really well with respect to fintech, retail. So these kind of industries have been doing really well, and I don't see many people are moving jobs that much because of the first of all fear that they don't know that if they move to another company, what's going to happen to that particular company. So that's also fear. People are sticking to their jobs first of all. But then again, when it comes down to people who are going to move from other countries to Canada on PR, I still say it's a good time because right now companies are kind of either they have to finish their yearly budget or they are kind of planning their next year budgets. So job openings are starting to pop up, and it's generally said that December and mid of Jan it's a lean period, but that's the best time to find a job because that's the easiest. The competition is going to be really less if there is a relevant job, and if it sticks, that's the easiest way to get a job right now.
Now, if you had the opportunity to maybe go back in time, so let's say in February 2020, when you recently came to Canada, what advice would you give to the younger version of yourself?
Right. So it would be again, be more prepared. Again, like I went to US from India and then spent there for 5 years and then came to Canada. So I could have actually directly come to Canada. I could have directly come to Canada, be here, and it would be like in the last 4 5 years I would have been really settled and all. But then again, I say it I wouldn't say that it was a bad experience for me going to US because that gave me a totally different perspective in terms of how the North American market works and how are the employers over there, and the kind of experience I got that kind of enabled me to get a really good job in Canada as well. So that's where it is, Leah. And definitely if I'm going to come to Canada, if I would have known, I would have invested much more in Canada.
So, coming to the investment part, if you have, let's say, 200,000 Canadian dollars, how would you spend that particular amount of money?
Right. So I would spend it into three buckets. The first one being like the real estate. The real estate is crazy here. It's I don't know. It's always going up. So there are always more people compared to the real estate, yeah, the condos, houses compared to people here. So that's why I haven't seen the real estate market go down in the last 8 to 10 years here. And right now, this has been the best year for real estate,
Wow.
which is a shock for everybody. So that's one thing, I would definitely invest in a pre-construction kind of a property in one part. And then second part, definitely I would invest in stocks. And then the third part, like Canada has a really good, vibrant startup culture. So I would definitely be an investor in one of the startups as well. So that's how I would, bucket it out.
Perfect. And just a quick thing, when you talk about real estate, is the real estate market in Canada much higher return as compared to what India gives? Considering that, let's say in India you buy something for 1 crore, the return in terms of rent and everything, not in terms of appreciation, but in terms of rent, isn't that high. But in Canada, is it much higher?
I would say percentage-wise, it would be around 2%, 2 or 3%, if you're comparing rent to the cost, but that's been reducing because the prices have been going really up, and compared to the rents, they are not going up. But with respect to that, if we see the prices, that's are going through the roof.
So Jaspreet, it was great talking to you. All the points which you have shared in this video are absolutely valuable. Also, what I'm going to do is I will be adding the links for all your social media handles in the description of the video, so that in case someone is moving to Canada, they can always network with you. So again, thank you for taking out the time to be a part of this video, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Nikhil, thanks for having me. And I hope, through these videos, if somebody can benefit from it in terms of, with respect to their job search. So that would be a great thing. And you're doing a really good cause with these videos, through which people can easily see, and they can, formulate a strategy that if they're moving to Canada, or even not only Canada, but some other country, they know what things to, look for, what strategies they need to make, and they're much more well prepared than directly, landing there or jumping there.